I gathered in His name. He has promised to be there to set their hearts aflame. And right now I sense the nearness of His presence in our midst. What a privilege to feel His presence, and oh, how sweet it is. So sweet is the Spirit when it moves among His people. Hearts are melted, lives are changed, and dreams restored. He brings healing for every heartache. He has a promise for every problem. Just so sweet is the Spirit of the Lord. These very walls cry out the glory of the Lord. Every woman, man, and child can feel God's love outpoured. It's so real, there's no denying that these blessings all are His. What a thrill to be at home with Jesus, and oh, how sweet it is. So sweet is the Spirit.
Hey guys, good morning. Good morning. I hope you can hear me. It's been a while since I have come through on this platform, and I am noticing a couple of impurities, but that will be my problem. Please confirm if you can hear me before I proceed. I do not want to lose time this morning. Somebody just let me know that they can hear me. And while you are doing that, I am going to go straight into the taking greetings. I'm waiting for someone to tell me they can hear me. But my lioness was there, took the front row seat this morning. Good morning, Tando. My queen, good morning. Tumi, good morning. Good morning, Lunkelwa. Liz, good morning. And Tandy, good morning. Mo, it's been a while. Good morning. Morning, Nikki. All right. Kiana, good morning. Thank you so much. Hello there. Dumelanko Maung, as you guys say. Dudu, good morning. And ladies, keep greeting and keep telling us where it is that you are joining us from. Thank you, my lioness. I'm committed, especially because I started late, but I'm committed to also finishing, because the Zoom prayer starts at 4:30 and those people tend to panic. So I'm really, really, really trying to, if you want to know, one of my resolutions for this year is to keep time. So I do need to try. All right. Now, and somebody can please write these down in the text here. If you were paying attention, you'll notice that our message title changed a little bit. I initially said maintaining momentum. And then I kind of thought, let me just become clear. Sometimes these cryptic messages may be missed. All right. And so the title is They That Wait Upon the Lord. If you recognize that, you'll know that it is Isaiah chapter 40. Okay. But I am talking about maintaining momentum. Right? I am talking about maintaining momentum. And what we mean by that is we are referring to people who are perhaps dealing with something, or have been praying over something, or have been working on something, or has been pushing something, and it doesn't seem to be happening. It doesn't seem to be coming through. It doesn't seem to happen. You are praying over something. It looks like God is deaf. Or you are trying to build something, it is not growing. Or you are trying to create something, and the temptation then is to stop. And let me tell you, when you stop, you lose momentum. Because every time you stop, and then this thing keeps coming back to you, and you start again, you have lost momentum. So stop and start, stop and start, stop and start, make us lose momentum. And every time we start from scratch. And you know what? One day you will stop and you will never start again. All right? But to maintain momentum is to push in and push and push, as long as you are convinced, and sometimes you are, that this is what God wants, or it's a prayer item that you are praying about, that there's no stopping praying about this. But and the question is, do I stop or do I continue? And I'm saying to you, maintain momentum, keep pushing, keep praying, keep building, keep whatever, all right? Keep pursuing whatever it is that you are pursuing. But let me give you the verses. Like I said, now I'm going to the end of this. Let me give you the verses, all right? The first one is Galatians 6, verse 9, all right? Galatians 6, verse 9. If you're joining us for the first time, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Verse number 1, Galatians 6, verse 9. Somebody please write it. Do not weary, all right? We know that verse. Second verse that I want to give you is the one that I've then given you, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. They that wait upon the Lord, which is our verse for today. All right. And then the third verse that I want to give you, I want to give you the chapters, but let me give you the actual verses in those chapters. But the chapters is 1 Samuel chapter 1 and 1 Samuel chapter 2. I am back pursuing Hannah. There is something about that woman's story that does not stop talking to me. All right. Maybe God has got a message for me through Hannah, and I'm now just bringing you along. So the third one is 1 Samuel 1 verse 7. 1 Samuel 1 verse 7. And the second one is 1 Samuel 2 verse 19 up to verse 21, but really the focus in verse 19. So Galatians 6 verse 9. Thank you so much, Kiana. Second one, Isaiah 40 verse 31. All right. And then the third one is 1 Samuel 1 verse 7. And then the fourth one is 1 Samuel 2 verse 19. You can also read verse 20 and verse 21. In fact, let me go to 1 Samuel 2 verse 20 and verse 21. And I'm reading this, I'm imagining, so if you were to allow me to imagine this as a story, right? This is Hannah. I'm going to go to verse 21. I'm going to start with to verse 21. Verse 20, okay, I don't know, 2021, I don't know. But I'm imagining, picture Hannah in her old age. She's maybe sitting in church, or maybe she's sitting at conference, Theater of Grace conference, or she's meeting somebody somewhere, all right? Young woman who's going through stuff, young woman who's pushing through things, and the things do not seem to be happening, right? But she's meeting the Hannah of 1 Samuel 2, verse 9, verse 21. And this is how the Bible describes Hannah there. In verse 21, and the Lord blessed Hannah, and she conceived and gave birth to 3 sons and 2 daughters. Right? And then in the latter part of that verse says, meanwhile, Samuel grew up in the presence of the Lord. I will not go into that, but I just want to stay here. And the Lord blessed Hannah, and she conceived and gave birth to 3 sons and 2 daughters. Now imagine you and me, imagine a young woman meeting that Hannah, a Hannah who has got a womb that is blessed, 3 sons and 2 daughters. This young woman is struggling. She's either struggling to conceive, or she's struggling with life, struggling with career. She's struggling with things, and she's tempted to let it all go, because she has been pushing and nothing is happening. She has been applying and she's not been even getting an interview, or she's been getting to the interview, she doesn't get to being shortlisted, or she gets shortlisted, she doesn't get the job. Or this is a young woman who is married, found the right guy, and the children are not popping, right? Or this is the young woman who's found the right guy and has the children, but for some reason things are not going well with the children. Or this is a young woman who's been praying to God to find the right man, and she's not even meeting the right people, let alone the right man to marry. Nobody's asking her to marry. In other words, I'm imagining someone who is at a place in their life right now where things are not coming together, regardless of how often she is pushing, of how much she is praying, of how much she's asking God. Things are not coming together. And she's looking with envy at this older woman, Hannah, who seems to have it all together. She's looking at Hannah. She's looking at Hannah, who has been blessed with 3 sons and 2 daughters. And by the way, and this is not the latter part, Hannah is also the mother of this great guy, this great prophet in the community. And this woman is like, man, some women are blessed. Because how I wish I could be Hannah. How did she get to be so blessed? And now I want to sit on the other side of the chair. So imagine this interview. There she is. She's sitting with one, admiring her, envying her almost, and talking as if Hannah just got it all together. Now, allow me to hand the mic over to Hannah. And let's hear if she had an opportunity to explain to this woman, to tell this woman, if she were to speak to this young lady. I don't know. I'm imagining myself as Hannah, and I imagine some of the words that she would say. And so I'm putting myself in that position. If I were to be Hannah, responding to this young woman, first of all, I would give her the first verse that I've given you today. Galatians 6, verse 9. Galatians 6, verse 9. Do not weary of doing good, for in due season you will reap if you faint not. Right? That is how I imagine Hannah would start this conversation. Okuti, I see you. I hear you. I understand exactly where you are. And before I tell you how I got to be the Hannah that you see now with 3 sons, and the 4th son is the prophet of this great nation that you and I belong to, and I even have 2 daughters. Before I tell you about how I got there, I want to tell you something. Don't weary. Do not weary of doing good. For in due season, you will reap if you faint not. And so if you are where you are, if things have not popped, if your things have not as we say in my language, right? Please take note that due season has not come yet. Due season has not come yet. But the problem we have is that many of us do not arrive at due season, because between where we are and due season, there is the enemy who is wearing us down. So the first words that Hannah would share with this woman, she would say to us, those of us who are going through challenging times and are tempted to let go, are tempted to weary, do not weary. Do not weary. Do not weary of doing good. Do not weary of praying without ceasing. Do not weary of pursuing that business, of pursuing that job, of pursuing that dream, of pursuing that which God has placed in your heart. Do not weary, both in due season. In due season. In due season, you will reap if you faint not. So due season will come. That's number 1. Number 2, I imagine Hannah would say, number 2, wait, but wait upon the Lord. Whatever it is that you are going through right now, let your waiting be upon the Lord. And she would say, what do you mean? And she would say to me, let me explain. I married the love of my life. But for some reason, another woman came into our life, and suddenly there were 2 of us. All right. And as you would know, the first prize is to marry the man that you love, who loves you. And I did. But then the second prize is to give this man children, and the children were not coming. And the children were not coming. And to make things worse, the children were not coming, but to make things worse, the woman, the second wife, my sister wife, kept having children. It is one thing, but and this is where envy grows. And this is where I envy Hannah. This is where envy grows, that I am waiting and I am praying and I'm asking God for something. And God is not giving me that which I want. But while I'm waiting, somebody else right next to me, without much effort, is actually getting that which I'm desiring. What do you do in that case? What do you do in the case where you are praying and asking God for a job? Where you are praying and asking God for the healing of your children? Where you are praying and asking God for a breakthrough, but right, left, right, and center next to you, everybody else is getting a breakthrough. What do you then do? But to make it worse, and now I want us to go to 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 7. And to make it worse, this is Hannah giving advice to this young woman. Then the Bible says, and many of us look at the second part of this verse. The Bible then says, year after year, it was the same. Year after year, it was the same. Peninnah would taunt Hannah as they went to the tabernacle. And each time, Hannah would be reduced to tears and would not even eat. I want to just compare and read it in other versions. And the Bible says, and so it happened year after year. Other versions will say, and so it happened 1 year after another, year after year. Now, many of us stop at the first part of this text where it says year after year, Peninnah would taunt Hannah. But can I just skip that and reverse it? Because that sentence is not finished. Please listen to me. Year after year, right? Peninnah would taunt Hannah as they went to the tabernacle. Tina, we are reading that the taunting of Hannah by Peninnah. But what kept Hannah going? So they went to the temple year 1. Hannah was taunted by Peninnah. They went to the temple year 2. Hannah was taunted by Peninnah. They went to the temple year 3. We do not know how many years lapsed. But why did Hannah go to the temple? Tina, we are looking at the fact that every year she goes to the temple. And I've mentioned that myself. Every year she goes to the temple and every year she's taunted. No. Here's the story. And this is where Hannah stopped. And this is where the focus of our message is today. Wait, but let your waiting be upon the Lord. Uti uHannah apa. Year after year, I went to the temple. The story here is not about Peninnah. So even as you are going through what you are going through, even as you are waiting upon the Lord over something, do not allow your eyes, do not allow your focus to be on Peninnah, but allow your focus to be on the Lord. Why did Hannah go back to the temple? Please, let's reread it. Year after year, they went to the temple. And Hannah did not stay behind. The only time she stayed behind, we'll talk about it at the end. Year after year, she went to the temple. Year after year, she went to the temple. But what does the temple represent, The temple represented the one from whom she wanted answers. So where did the breakthrough, what kept Hannah's momentum? It was not Peninnah's tauntings. Yes, those were, let's just be honest now. If the issue was Peninnah, at some point Hannah would have stopped. If the issue was Peninnah, at some point Hannah would have stopped. She knew. Look, she knew. And we do not have time to talk about Peninnah, who had the krach, ladies. Oh, by the way, notice how the enemy does not lose momentum. Notice how the enemy does not lose momentum. That every year Peninnah went to the temple. So she maintained momentum because her focus was upon the Lord. Year after year, not Peninnah, Hannah. Of course, Peninnah also went to the temple. Year after year, Hannah went to the temple. Year after year, Hannah went to the temple. Why? Because her zeal and her prayers and their request was upon the Lord. Ucela umntana kubani kuThixo. You are not praying to your enemies. You are not praying to your detractors. You are praying to God. But please take note how Peninnah, the Bible doesn't say that the 1 year Peninnah kept quiet. Again, I don't want to focus on Peninnah. I don't want to focus on the enemy. But please take note how the enemy also does not lose momentum. Every year, Hannah went to the temple. And every year, Peninnah taunted her. So the enemy does not stop. Why does the enemy not stop? Because there is something in the devil that picks up the pattern of God in our lives. And she knows, and he knows, and he knows that God is going to, there is something big that's about to happen in your life. And so let me try and stand between you and that something happening. And what do? You slow down. What stopped Hannah? What kept Hannah going to the temple? Do not weary of doing good. because in due season you will reap if you faint not. Good news. In due season you will reap if you faint not. Bad news. The enemy is not going to stop. As long as she woke up and she went to the temple, and Penina was there to taunt her. So phakathi kwaHana no Penina, one of them was going to give up, and it was not going to be Hannah. And the reason why, and please take note of this, and the reason why Hannah did not give up, because her focus was not on Penina. Penina's focus was on Hannah, but Hannah's focus was on God. How do I know? I have no time. Go to Umthandazo kaHana. This one time where they were in the temple and it happened again. Penina was being her usual self. The devil was being his usual self. And this one time, Hannah gets up to go to prayer. Nowhere in her prayer do we hear one mention of Penina. Nowhere in her prayer do we hear one mention of the tauntings and all that she says to God, Lord, remember me. So I'm saying to you, if Hannah were to testify, she would say to you, year after year, I went to the temple. Year after year, I went to God about my issue. Day after day, I went to God about my issue. If Paul were to interject and come into this conversation, you know what Paul would say? He would say, pray without ceasing. In everything, give thanks. Pray without ceasing. But whatever you do, do not make Penina your issue. Your issue is with God. Wait upon the Lord. Year after year, year after year, year after year. The issue here, and the message of today is simple. Whatever it is that you are pursuing is between you and God. It is not between you and the enemy. Let Penina Penina, that they, for some reason, they find joy in your not yet answered prayers. Do you hear me? Your prayers are not unanswered. Your prayers are not yet answered. And if for some reason Penina finds joy in your not yet answered prayers, that is Penina's problem. That is Penina's problem. But let me tell you why Penina does that. Let me tell you why the enemy raises up Penina to do that. Because he wants you to do what? To weary. He wants, imagine what would have happened if one day Hannah would have woken up and said to Elkanah, when the time came for them to go to Shiloh, and she would woken up and said to Elkanah, Andi namhlanje, I am not going today. I am tired of Penina. Imagine what would have happened. Would we have gotten somewhere Betuna? Imagine what would have happened if you were to stop praying for that which you are praying for. Imagine what would have happened if she would have woken up one day. Because I imagine, as the day for going to Shiloh would approach, as the Sabbath approaches, have you ever had a situation that is not happening at work? It's not happening at home. It's happening in that place of worship. That you know that the minute you park your car there, it is because Penina is waiting for you. Have you ever had those situations? And how do you feel as Abanyamantu are preparing on Friday afternoon? People are preparing for the Sabbath. They are happy. So the music starts to change and people start to change the greetings. Instead of good morning, Moreni, people start to say happy Sabbath. But your heart starts to pump faster because you know that on that Sabbath morning, in that place of worship, in that tabernacle, at Shiloh is where your taunting begins. Imagine it is yoga. It would start to beat faster as they wake up in the morning, as they start to pack and get going to go to Shiloh, because she knew that the enemy was waiting for her to taunt her. If it was me, I must just let you know. If it was me, I possibly would have stopped. But Hannah did not stop. Because where she was going at Shiloh, she believed that's where her answers were. Where she was going, she believed that's where her God was. But the most important thing is that when we go to Shiloh, there may or may not be a Penina at Shiloh for you, but you are not going to meet with Shiloh. You are going to meet with God. So I'm imagining the conversation that she was having as she was putting on her clothes, getting her hair ready, and packing herself. And remember, it was quick for Hannah to prepare for church because I'm sure because because but Hannah was fixing herself, and I imagine she's but what pushed Hannah, what gave Hannah momentum was that she was not going to Shiloh to meet with Penina. She didn't have an appointment with Penina, but she had an appointment with God. Year after year, she was going to Shiloh because she was meeting with God. And in due season, the Bible says, in due time, God remembered her. In due time, God remembered her. In due time, God remembered her. Imagine if Hannah would not have gotten to due time because Hannah stopped going because of Penina. Maintain momentum in spite of the devil's momentum. Now I'm going to close. So Hannah is telling this young lady, she says to her, year after year, I went to the temple in spite of Penina. Please write it down. Year after year, I prayed in spite of Penina. Year after year, I pursued my business in spite of Penina. Year after year, I went to the temple because of the Lord, in spite of Penina. That is what Hannah would say. And then she would say, in due season, in due time, the Lord remembered me. In due time, the Lord remembered me, and he gave me a son who was a sign that God answers prayers. I do not know, Manarabasakai, when your due season is, but if you want to get an idea, look at the force of the enemy on your life. Look at the force of the enemy on your life, and the stronger the force, the closer the due season. If he is fighting you double time, if he's fighting you stronger than before, your due season is just around the corner. I do not know what it is that you are pursuing God for. I do not know what it is that you are about to give up on. Please, do not weary. Do not weary. And I do not know what it is that your Penina is pushing against you for. But the harder Penina pushes, the harder. Listen to me. We shared this a while ago. The enemy does not waste his darts. There is a force again that he has got a force with him. The enemy has got an army on his side. 1/3 of the angels of heaven. That's a strong army. That's a strong army. And that army can intimidate you. That army can threaten you. But hey, 2/3 of the angels remained with our God, and that is the army on your side. So the stronger he is pushing, he knows one thing, that your due season is around the corner. Your due season is around the corner. That is what he knows. So he's pushing harder. Hey, there is God on your side. So in spite of Penina, because of the Lord, wait, keep going, keep pushing. Do not weary. In spite of Penina, push because of the Lord. Mamela Kengo, if Hannah continues the story, and so she would say now, in God remembered me and gave me a son who was a sign that God answered prayers. God remembered me and gave me a son who was a sign that God answers prayers. But there was one boy. That was one boy. How did I get to then have 5 other sons? Now let's go back to verse 19. God will hear and answer your prayers. I'm here to heal from the tears. And when God does, do not forget to go back to the temple. Verse 19, chapter 2, eat Bible. Year after year. Chapter 2 year after year. Speaking about Samuel, his mother made a small coat for him and brought it to him when she came to the temple to sacrifice. She went to the temple to ask, and she got what she was asking for, but she did not stop going to the temple. The only time, there was only 1 year where Hannah did not go to the temple because she was weaning the boy off, and she was going to hand the boy back to God. 1 year she did not go to the temple because she was preparing, and then she went back. Eli does not even recognize her anymore. He doesn't recognize her anymore. And he answers, and she says to her, I am that woman. When I was praying here. So Hannah is telling this young lady, I am that woman who for years was barren. I am that woman who for years had a penina in my life. I am that woman who for years had a flesh in my thorn, and God did not remove the flesh, but his grace was sufficient for me. I am that woman who kept going year after year after year after year in spite of penina because of God. I am that woman who is the mother. Do you see that great man walking around? Do you see that great man walking around Israel? I am the mother. To Mama, I'm done. I am that woman whom God remembered and gave a son as a sign that God answers prayers. But let me tell you something, young lady. I am that woman who's still going to Shiloh. I am that woman who's still going back to God, because in God are my answers. In God is my strength. In God is my joy. In God is my everything. I am that woman who will never give up on God. Year after year, I went and I got my one son who was a sign, but God continued to bless. God continued to bless. I now have 3 sons and 2 daughters. And so, my young friend, if I were to conclude this conversation, I would read for you the following piece of text, Isaiah chapter 40. If I were to conclude these proceedings now, I'm concluding on behalf of Uhan. Isaiah chapter 40. Yes, we jump off to verse 31, but can I start a little bit earlier from verse 28? Have you not heard? Have you never understood? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of all the earth. Listen to this. He never grows weak or weary. No one can measure the depths of his understanding. Verse 29, he gives power to the weak and strength to the powerless. Verse 30, oh, in my language, it's my daughter. Even the youths will become weak and tired, and the young men will fall from exhaustion. But those who trust in the Lord, those who trust in the Lord, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not be weary, and they will walk and not faint. Do not weary of doing good, for in due season you will reap if you faint not. And those that wait upon the Lord, those that trust in the Lord, shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. That's you and that's me. Do not stop. Let's end it here. I was a little bit over time. Apologies. Let's end it here and go now to our Zoom prayers. Don't give up on God. Don't give up on God. Let Penina be. Focus on God. Amen.